But the seven-figure skill set is learning to develop other leaders. Hey, Solarpreneurs, today we're going to talk about the skill set you need to develop if you want to be a seven-figure earner. So welcome to the podcast. My name is Taylor Armstrong. We're here to help you close more deals, generate more leads and referrals, and have a much better time in the solar industry. Today, we're going to also teach you how to be a seven-figure earner. Hey, and I'm still working on the journey to seven figures. So I don't want to tell you that I have made seven figures in a year because I have not yet, but we're working on it. And it got me thinking. I was recently at this Alchemy Sales Summit in Utah. Did a few podcasts where I brought up some lessons learned from the Sales Summit. But we heard a Casey Boss speak. He just went over a bunch of principles that have helped him in his career and helped him develop. And something he said that I hadn't thought about as much is that in order, six-figure skill set is learning to sell, but the seven-figure skill set is learning to develop other leaders. Okay, one more time. The seven-figure skill set is the skill of developing other leaders. And if you think about it, in any organization, the people that are making the most money typically, they're the ones that are leading their senior regional managers, their VP of sales. And what are they doing? Typically, they needed to develop multiple leaders under them to get to that position. And so wherever you're at in your sales career, think about it. Are you developed yourself as a leader? And now who have you helped develop as a leader? And if you can't answer that question, then it's something you got to get figured out to take it to another level. And it's something that I'm currently in the process of doing. And I've learned a lot being at my current company because now going on, 2016? So going on 9 years of being in solar. I didn't really know this or didn't really think about it. I just thought you sell, you get promoted to a manager, but I hadn't really thought, okay, I need to be constantly developing other leaders. And that's what's going to take me to the next level. So if you were at a smaller company, maybe a company that has less resources, think, how can you develop other people as leaders? And I'm going to give you three things that I have learned and that we are currently doing in our company to help develop other leaders that you can implement in whatever stage you are at. Okay, so the first one, that's create a leadership development program. So currently in our company, we have something called the DNA program. And it's a leadership training program where people that have hit, like on the higher side of a sales metric, they have a requirement that they have to hit a certain amount of installs in a quarter. And if you hit the number, then you are considered in leadership training after that. And I like it because it gives something for people to shoot towards, right? It's kind of like the first baby step towards getting into leadership. And in this DNA group, there's weekly calls. Every Monday, there's a call where they talk about a leadership principle. They go over the KPIs, the key performance indicators of the people in the DNA group. They hold each other accountable. And just a great little leader and training group. So if you don't have something like this at your company, maybe you're a manager, maybe you're a company owner, highly recommend getting a little leadership development group together. You don't have to have a lot of people, but maybe you have 5 people who you think are potential leaders. How can you pour into them? How can you get them to start thinking like a leader? So consider doing something like a DNA group. You better not copy us. Don't call it that. but we actually copied it from someone else. So I feel like everyone copies each other at one point. But maybe come up with a different name right? Ask ChatGPT, hey, what's a cool name for my leadership development group? Think of something. That's step number one. Okay, number two, start to delegate leadership responsibilities. And side note to that, if you are not a leader yet, if you are just, everyone should be leading themselves, right? And that's a good training you can do. We've had it where we get up in front of everybody, we say, hey, here's a leader. And if they don't raise their hand, then they're wrong because everyone's leading themselves, right? But if you are not yet a so-called manager or leading other people yet, then start to take upon yourself, how can you start acting like a leader without having the official title, right? You don't need to be a manager. You don't need to be the head honcho to start acting like a leader, right? And what we've found is the people that start acting like the thing before they achieve it, those are the ones that actually do it. Okay, so maybe you volunteer to lead a correlation. That was one of the first things I started doing before I got into leadership back at my first company back in 2016. I would volunteer to just give trainings because I knew it was going to help me up level speaking skills. I knew it was going to make me study more of the topics I wanted to talk about, refine my sales skills. And I knew it was the first little step for me to start leading others. So maybe you volunteer to lead some trainings. And if you are a leader, then the second piece is start delegating things. And maybe you have people that you can tell, you see that they have leadership in their veins, but maybe they're not volunteering to do these things. You go delegate it, get them thinking that they can become a leader, that they can up level their career. So things as simple as we've done like book clubs at our companies. You sign them a little book minute. Things like greeting people as they come in the door, right? Maybe you got new reps that are coming in, making sure they know exactly where they're going, making sure they're comfortable. And it reminds me, back when I was a missionary for my church, we used to always say you call them converts, the people that are new to the church, every new person needs a responsibility. Yeah, because if they didn't have a responsibility, then they're going to get lost in the crowd. So I think that's how developing leaders need it too. They need responsibilities. They need to start acting like they're a leader even before they're not. So start delegating. And then last but not least, have a super clear path for leadership. And this is a mistake I see all the time, especially in solar. We got a setter closer, right? We got people that are just setting appointments. And unfortunately, the first company I was with, they always wanted to be people. They wanted people to be setters rather forever. Like they didn't want people progressing. And so many people just quit eventually because they would get good at setting, but there was no progression after that. There's no career path. So do you have a clear progression path at your company? If you're a rep or if you're not in charge of that, send this podcast to the leaders of your company so they can develop a clear path. Okay, there should be a metric. How many recruits do you need? How many sales do you need to be getting? Our company, we have a captain metric where it's right after the DNA metric, but all you need is 6 installs in a quarter, super doable. And then you need at least 2 recruits, 2 people on your squad that did 3 installs in a quarter. Okay, so something super doable. These are California numbers. Okay, but think of a small metric that is in place for people to progress to the next level. Right, and if you are doing setter closer model, do you have progression path where people can progress to, I don't know, maybe a setter manager or what they need to do to eventually become a closer? Because the quickest way to get people to quit is if they feel like they're stuck, they feel like there's never going to be any progression, and they feel like there's no vision for their future. And some people, maybe they do want to be setters forever, but most people, they want some type of progression, even if they are going to continue as setters. What's a way that maybe they can, make more money per deal? Maybe it's hitting X amount of deals in a month. They get paid a bonus. They get paid extra. Think of things you can do to progress people's careers and make them feel inspired, because when people don't have a vision for their future, the Bible says, where the people have no vision, they perish. So make sure you give them that vision. So those are 3 tips, 3 things you can do today to start getting that 7-figure skill set, which is developing other leaders. Okay, get some type of leadership development plan in place. Delegate leadership responsibilities. If you're not yet leading other people, then start acting like it even before you are a leader. And then number 3 is create that clear path of progression. Figure out what are the metrics, how many recruits, what do they need to do to progress to the next level. Okay, and most companies are going to have some type of override structure. How can you progress to the next level? And, that's another thing. Potentially start getting compensated for helping other people. So I hope that helps. And I hope if you don't have some type of leadership structure, if you don't have some way that you're helping people develop this 7-figure skill, then you need to start thinking about it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the podcast today. Please join us. We got SolarCon coming up. There are still some discounts available, although I think it has gone down at the time of this recording. So go grab your discount today. We got the link down below in the show notes. And keep tuning in. Let us know if you have suggestions for guests or topics for future episodes, and we'll see you on the next podcast.